In 1991, Tufshin Nun Aleph, Saddam Hussein, the dictator of Iraq, invaded Kuwait, igniting the Gulf War. This region, rich in oil fields, saw massive conflict with an American-led coalition. Amidst the rising tensions, Hussein threatened to launch Scud missiles into Israel, escalating the crisis. While the world was in turmoil, the Rebbe had a different message.
During the Gulf War, that's really when things started to happen. When the Rebbe first said that this Gulf War is the fulfillment of the Medrash, where it says that there's going to be a conflict amongst nations in a specific geographic location, which the Rebbe said this is what's going on now in the Persian Gulf. And instead of people being frightened and panicking, the Rebbe's message was Hagiyas Mangol Aschem. Not just that it'll be good, but Hagiyas Mangol Aschem, this is a simon of Geula. I remember I met someone who was a chassid from a different neighborhood, and he asked me, is it really true that the Rebbe said that people should still go to Eretz Yisrael and it's still the safest place in the world? And I said, yes, it's true, the Rebbe says it. So he said to me, but what's that from this mefarsim zan? Like it was so against Seichas Chasakuna, it's dangerous. But Lepel, this was Gila Lakuz that the Rebbe said, took Achrayas, and we saw later the Merindika miracles. The miracle was on Purim, and then came the incredible Sikh of Chavches Nissen, where it's clear from the Rebbe that now it's something new is happeing, we enter New Tkufa.
So it was 33 years ago. It was common then the Rebbe would speak very often after davening from his place. But then, the last few minutes suddenly changed entirely. And the Rebbe began to speak very emotionally about why Mashiach hasn't come yet. And after everything we've done, why is it that Mashiach is still not here? And the dramatic and very passionate plea of the Rebbe was very, very powerful. Today everyone knows the words where the Rebbe said, "Was noch kann ich tun, what more can I do? I did everything I can do. Only thing I left to do is übergeben zu euch. Tut alles, was ihr kennt."
Einzige Sache, was ich kann nicht tun, ist, gib das Liebe wie jeder von euch und tut alles, was ihr kennt und setzt ein Robbling in Mashiach und take it from Yad Mamos.
But especially the last words I remember where the Rebbe said, "Yehi rotzen soll sein, ein, zwei, drei." There should be 1, 2, or 3 of you that will come together.
Also unser Gefühl zwischen euch auf Kolponel 1, 2, 3, was Allah nicht zu geben, was wir soll tun und was wir soll tun.
To discuss and strategize what to do and how to do it. So the reaction from the crowd was very, I would say, shock is the right word. People had no clue what to do. Like the Rebbe saying these words, some people were confused. Some people felt we have to pressure the Rebbe, Kaviyachol, that he should do it. So at the time, all kinds of meetings happened and asifas, and people wrote to the Rebbe, and we have all different reactions. The Rebbe insisted, this is what I'm telling you, you must do something. Don't put it back on me. I'm telling you, you must do. The next Shabbos, Azim, it said, the Rebbe said the Derech Yeshara is through learning Torah, especially in Yoni Gula Mashiach, and through spreading it and through living it.
When the Rebbe spoke about learning in Yoni Gula Mashiach, there was a guy, Tuvia Peles, who since the Rebbe started being Magia Siches every week, and he used to go to the Kfar Chabad, he used to go to the Allgemeine Journal, he decided at one point to print a booklet called Var Malchus, and he would distribute it to the whole Eretz Yisrael outside of Lubavitch. The minig and all the shuls in Eretz Yisrael, they have pamphlets and flyers from everything and everywhere. So he decided to have the Rebbe's Torah, and apparently he got an askoma from the Rebbe on this. Then, when the Rebbe spoke about Yoni Gula Moshiach, he decided to publish 4 sichas, Mugidike sichas about Yoni Gula Moshiach, and he published it in the Cheveres. That's why when you see the Kevetz, it says number Yud Beis. Why is it Yud Beis? It was the 12th issue of his series in Tvar Malchus, of giving out the Rebbe's words. When the Rebbe got it, the Svovia, the Rebbe was going to the Eil, and the Rebbe said he wanted to give this out to everyone. And this is what the Rebbe gave out, the Kuntras, with these 4 sichas. And of course, when the Rebbe gave out the Kuntras, it gave such a tremendous chshivas that everybody, we sat down and we learned. We started Sigivone Psakoch in Limud in Yoni Gula Mashiach.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
In 1991, Tufshin Nun Aleph, the Iron Curtain fell, marking the end of communism in Eastern Europe. For decades, Jews living under Soviet rule faced severe oppression, with restrictions on religious practices and widespread anti-Semitism. The collapse of the Soviet Union brought freedom to millions who had lived under these oppressive regimes. As the world celebrated this monumental shift, the Rebbe celebrated, saying that it was part of the redemption process.
In Toshin and Aleph in the summer, I'm sure you all know the history of one of the revolutions in Russia at that time in 1991. It was a big turmoil all over Russia. People were panicking, scared. Everybody was trying to leave Russia. And at that time, we asked the Rebbe what we should do. The camps were running, parents were scared, counselors were scared. We didn't know what we should do. And we got an incredible answer from the Rebbe. B'timoy nachi godel kibalti hashayna. Kiposhut yamshichu b'chol ha'technies kayle lakaitones ad gmira v'Hashem yatzlichem v'yivasruteh. Askar alatzir. The Rebbe is saying, I'm shocked you're even asking this question. You're asking when there is tanks in the streets, there is a revolution going on, people are scared, they don't know what's going to be tomorrow. The White House didn't know, nobody knew what's going on. And the Rebbe says that you're asking if you should change your plans. You're asking if you should close the summer camps. B'timoy and achi godel, the Rebbe is shocked they're even asking such a question. And everybody asks, how could the Rebbe be shocked? I mean, there are tanks in the streets, people are getting shot. And the Rebbe says, he's surprised even that you're asking questions. And I think that the Rebbe wanted us to live in a new reality. The Rebbe was shocked that we're asking a question when the Rebbe shturen as retzach wegen the time of Geula, a time that you're already living with Moshiach. How could you ask such questions that shows that chas v'sholem something is not going according to the plan? So surely you have to continue ad gemir until you finish off everything that we have to do in order to bring the Geula.
So in general, the fact that the Rebbe told us to learn in Yonei Geula Mashiach, and that is the derech hayeshara v'akala v'amehira, to bring Mashiach, is not something new. In general, this is very in sync with the Rebbe's view b'chlal, and the power of Torah. The Torah has a power that if something is learnt in Torah, and something is paskined in Torah, that has an effect on our world. So that's in general about Torah. In general, Torah has an effect on our world because it's the blueprint of creation. Specifically, when you learn something specific in Torah, that has an effect on something specific in our world. So when you learn about Geula, that will make our world a more Geula-dika world. This is why the Rebbe wanted that Rabbanim should paskin that Geula needs to come. Also why the Rebbe was happy when Rabbanim paskined that the Rebbe himself, the Nasi Adar, is Mashiach. Because when something is paskined in Torah, that has an effect on our world.
If you look at the whole context, you go, for example, Chayes Sara Tovshinun Beis, to the Kinus HaShluchim Sicha, where the Rebbe said, we finished the Shlichus, now the only thing left is Kabbal's Pri Mashiach. The Rebbe said that means to learn about Mashiach in Teresh Biksav and Teresh Balpeh and Chassidus. The whole Tkufa was very clearly, all the Sichas was all around Mashiach and Geula. So what it was creating, both in the Bochrim and Anash and Shluchim and everyone who was listening to the Rebbe, that the Rebbe was living with it. So some people really felt that the need that you have to really understand. Remember, Mashiach Geula, unless you're someone that experiences Elikus B'Pshittis, something you need to learn about. It doesn't come natural because we live in a Golas Dika world. And the Rebbe was definitely encouraging to live Mashiach by firstly learning about it.
Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev, I think it was Chanukah, a group came from France, a group of donors who undertook to build a new building for the yeshiva. And they came to the Rebbe with a demo, with a model. By dollars, they showed the Rebbe the model. They even lifted the roof to show the Rebbe the rooms inside, how it's going to end. The Rebbe, you can see on the video how the Rebbe's mamish taking interest, looking at it. They got attention from the Rebbe, Idud, during the singing, looking at them and encouraging them, saying L'chaim. But here was a Meredi Kezach. All of a sudden, the Rebbe started talking about France, the yeshiva, Teim Chetminim. And the Rebbe gave a whole biur. He reminded us that the Alter Rebbe was against France, and he didn't want to support France. It was such a klippe that we cannot deal with. And they paled a birur. Now that there's a Likus and there's Yiddishkeit in France and growing and flourishing, that's a sign of the end of Golos. This is the posik of Golos Achel Hazeh.
So naturally, when Chav Zayin Adar occurred, everybody was in shock. Total shock. It just happened all of a sudden. Not just all of a sudden, but in the midst of sichos, which were like so amazing, and such gila lakus, and speaking openly about the Rebbe, speaking about himself. That was the time when the Rebbe gave a hira in the beginning of Adar, that there should be hisafa in simcha during Adar. 60 days of simcha, and that'll be mevatel, the negative things. No one even thought, chas v'shalom, of anything along these lines. But when it happened, some people said to continue with the simcha, and some people said, how in the world could you be b'simcha when the Rebbe is in this matzav? What happened was that a tzedel was given in to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe himself said to be mamshich with the singing. Dr. Rosen at that time said that even though the Rebbe wasn't speaking, there were certain words which the Rebbe said clearly, and one of them, which you heard many times, was the word Shira v'Zimra, and that was the attitude of Chassidim. So Adarabba, after the Rebbe's answer, there was Simcha every night in 770, and that became the source that every year following in the Chodesh Adar, there is singing and dancing and music, and not just 770, but from there it spread to the rest of the world.
The Rebbe's focal point of his whole Nesius was Moshiach. Everything to do to bring Moshiach. If you know anything and you kochzach in the Rebbe's Teires, and you know the Rebbe's Teires, you have an obligation to teach it to someone else. This is the primary focal point of the Doir HaShvi.
The fact that the Rebbe spoke about this so many years ago, not only didn't this die down, and didn't people just not stop learning and just continue the way that it happened at the moment, but the kach became so much greater. So many years later, not only are we not dying down in this, and the kach and Yoni Mashiach Gula became so much stronger, especially in the last few years. It's incredible. Bachrim that were born after Gimel Tammuz, they never saw the Rebbe, and they take the Rebbe's words so seriously. Unbelievable, it's incredible. And again, this is the biggest testimony that Mazare B'chayim Afu B'chayim Mamish.
There's a variety of reasons why the Rebbe said we should learn Mashiach Gula, and one of them is because you can't want Mashiach unless you know what Mashiach means. Until you appreciate what Mashiach means, you have no sense why you need him, why you want him, and why it's realistic, and why it's practical.
And being that we look at all the sikhs and you see the way the Rebbe spoke about it, what it means practically is that nothing in the world should weaken us, nothing in the world should stop us. No matter what we see, what happened in Eretz Yisrael, all these things should have no effect on my emunah and on my bitachon, and therefore practically continue with doing all the things the Rebbe told us to do. Learning in Yonah Mashiach Geula, and to go with the absolute emunah and bitachon that Kein Yokum.
And we need Mashiach because the Rebbe instilled in us in 42 years that Mashiach is this thing that we need to end Golus. So wake up, Yidden. Wake up from the dream of Golus. The Geula is coming swiftly towards us. We will march to the Geula with the Rebbe, Be'ezus Hashem, speedily in our days.